What's going on, everyone? So recent reports have came out that the Los Angeles Lakers have interest in Ryan Rollins, and I don't really know how serious, like before we dive into this, I don't know how serious the Lakers part of it is. So originally there were reports and the Lakers weren't on it. It was like 5 teams and the Lakers were not a part of that. And it kind of feels like it was one of those things where it's like, okay, we forgot to add the Lakers, right, for the clicks in the headlines. So let's re-release some new reports with the Lakers attached to it too. And that's kind of what it feels like. Look, it's the Lakers. Every player that's available, every situation that's available, every possible outcome that could ever happen in the NBA are all linked to the Lakers. All roads go through the Lakers, which is what makes it fun, right? It's what makes for good conversation. As a content creator, it makes great for content because there's always something to talk about, right? But Ryan Rollins, supposedly the Lakers have some interest in. Maybe they do, right? He is 23 years old, right? He'll be 24, or he just turned 23 years old, literally, couple days ago. So he just turned 24, so he's very young, or 23, sorry, very young. He's a guy that he's a 2-guard, right? Like he's not a sizable wing, which is why I kind of have my questions about how serious are the Lakers into him. Now, it could be if you miss out on like a DeAnthony Melton, then maybe you go and bring in a Ryan Rollins. Like that could be something that could be why the Lakers have some interest. But he's 6'3", 180 pounds. He's a bucket getter, right? He's a guy that he's smooth. He can create dribble penetration. He can shoot over the top. He likes to operate in the mid-range. He's butter in the mid-range, right? So he's a guy that he could be like our TJ McConnell, right? Like you saw TJ, just operating around the 3-point line and stuff, or inside the 3-point line and whatnot. I think that's what you could get from Ryan Rollins. I wouldn't hate it. Again, he's young. He's athletic. He's versatile. A guy that can do multiple things out there. He was originally on the Warriors, then went to the Milwaukee Bucks, and now is a free agent, in which there's several teams linked to him, from Milwaukee potentially bringing him back to the San Antonio Spurs and so on and so forth. Like you got a handful of teams that are interested in Ryan Rollins, which again, I get it. Young, versatile, kind of guard that has plenty of upside, plenty of potential, plenty of growth. Could kind of be that 6th man, maybe even potential starter, kind of 3-and-D, but can create for himself type of guard. I don't know how much you would need somebody like him, because like his best skill set is being aggressive and being a bucket, like being able to operate and get to his spots. Right? He's really crafty. He's a guy that can, again, create his own offense, be the kind of swing man, make the occasional plays, grab a couple boards here and there. He's very versatile in that regard. But saw it alongside Luka, you're probably not looking for him to do that much. So I don't think he'd be a long piece starter for the Lakers down the road. But in like that Lou Williams type role, where he's just like your 6th man off the bench, and it's like, hey, go give us 15 a night. I think in the right role, he could probably do that, and he could probably do that now. Again, he's really good at like when he starts, being able to pick teams apart. Problem is he was on a team like the Warriors for so long where there's like several guards in front of him where he's not, and he's also not going to get those opportunities. And then he goes to Milwaukee and you got like Dame and all these, like again, Gary Trent Jr. and Michael Porter Jr. and all these guys. So it's just like he's been a product of his environment. I talk about that all the time, right? He's the young guy that has kind of gotten phased out by all the older guys and all the depth that teams have usually at the guard position, because teams usually have an abundance of guards, right? But if the Lakers end up trading, Gabe Vincent and, end up making several moves for guys, right? And end up, getting off of Shake Milton for like a Cam Whitmore and all that stuff. And you start looking up and it's like, okay, well, we don't really have a ton of guards, right? All of a sudden you look and, you trade for Andrew Wiggins and you got Cam Whitmore and Jared Vanderbilt and Dalton Connect and all stuff. It's like, we could probably use another point guard, 2-guard that could come off the bench. I wouldn't hate if the Lakers went and got Ryan Rollins. I think he's a guy that could really, again, just be, I don't know how much opportunity and role he would get, but I think in the right opportunity and role, he's a guy that could be a difference maker for the Lakers, right? And he's a guy that's only going to improve and grow, get better, right? He's crafty, he's athletic, he's smooth. I like his game, but it's just, again, it's kind of one of those things about the role. Like, what type of role is he playing? But essentially, Bucks, Suns, Spurs, Blazers, and Lakers. Lakers are now attached, like I mentioned. Originally, it was just like the Bucks, the Suns, the Spurs, and the Blazers. At least the original report that I saw. And then, so I was like, and then all of a sudden, I get notification that the Lakers are interested in him too. And I was like, okay, well, all right, I guess we'll talk about it, right? Because maybe he is, right? Maybe that is. And just, again, it gives us content and things to talk about. But what does he bring? What has he done thus far in his career? Now, last year, he was basically a 6-2-2 guy, right? But again, limited role, limited minutes, limited opportunity, field goal attempts, but he was very efficient. So look, let's dive into last year. So last year he was with Milwaukee, 56 games played, 19 games started, 14.6 minutes per game. So just under basically 15 minutes per game. He was 4.8 field goal attempts, so not a ton of field goal attempts, right? He's not a guy that's taken a ton of attempts, but 5 attempts, which was the most of his career, by the way, by a large margin. So his rookie season was 1.7. Then he averaged 2.1 between Washington and Milwaukee. And then this year with Milwaukee, 4.8 field goal attempts per game, but 48.7% from the field. He shot just under 41% from three-point range on 2.1 attempts, right? So again, a guy, if he can, even if he's not 41%, even if he's like 38%, that'd be great, right? Slot it in, can play on ball, play off ball. Again, I think he is best in that, like, hey, here's the ball, go get a bucket role, but he can play off ball. We saw him do it in Milwaukee. We've seen him do it in Golden State. He's a guy that can catch and shoot and all that stuff. But I just think if you really want to maximize him as a player, if you want kind of the best version of Ryan Rollins, it's that, like I mentioned, that Lou Williams role. Here's the ball. You got 20 minutes a night, right? But in 10 of those 20 minutes, it's just the Ryan Rollins show. Right? It's your game. You just go off and just get as many points as you can get, and maybe you can go get 8 to 10 points in that time. And then he's trickling in a couple other points, while he's playing off ball, Luka and all that stuff. And then, you look up and he's got 15, 17, whatever, right? That's kind of where I look at Ryan Rollins at his best. But he is a guy that, again, can play off ball, that can knock down the three ball. He's a career 41.4% three-point shooter. However, again, this was by far his largest sample size of three-point attempts. The most before the 2.1 last year was 0.8. So again, kind of things to keep in mind. And because he had such a small sample size, he had a season between Washington and Milwaukee. Right, he shot 100% from three-point range with the Milwaukee Bucks. He didn't miss a three for the Milwaukee Bucks, and shot 67% from three-point range on Washington. But it was 0.3 attempts for both teams, right? So yeah, again, it's small sample size that you really can't take. So the closest thing we have to real information on him was last year. It was pretty good. Like I said, 2.1 three-point attempts on 41%. From 2-point percentage, right? 2.7 attempts, shot 55% from the floor. He did have a season with Washington where he shot 2.2 attempts and was 50% from the floor. So he is a career 53% from 2-point range player. Again, he's really good in that. He's money in that mid-range. Right? That's why I'm saying, I could see him in that TJ McConnell role, where he's going to operate, picking his spots, being aggressive, looking to get buckets, make the occasional swing pass, right? Be the, kind of the defense collapses, boom, easy cut, easy lob, just the basics, right? But I want him, if the Lakers were to add him, I'd want him to be more aggressive, look to be a bucket getter, look to be a scorer, look to kind of just, again, be active in that regard. But EFG of 57.7% from the field. Free throw line, shot 80% on 0.8 attempts. The most he's had in a season was 1.7, and overall between Milwaukee and Washington, he had 1.3, and he averaged 76.5%, both on the 1.7 and the 1.3. So, he's a career 81% free throw shooter, so good free throw shooter. Rebounds, 1.9 rebounds, 1.9 assists, so basically 2 rebounds, 2 assists. Steal, half a block, and 6.2 points per game. Now, if you look at his per 36, now per 36 doesn't tell you the whole story, but it kind of gives you an idea of like what to expect, like what could he do, and you know, like a starter role and heavy minutes, right? What could he provide? And it's actually pretty good. He'd be 15.3 points, 4.7 rebounds, 4.6 assists, 2 steals, and a block per game. It's really good. Right, that would be excellent for a team like the Lakers. Like I said, he's 6'3", 6'4". You know, they kind of round him up. He's probably closer to 6'3" than 6'4", but you know, let's call it 6'4", because if he's on the Lakers, he's 6'4". He's not 6'3". But in all seriousness, like he's a guy that really could, you know, I think, do some damage. And B, he's young, plenty of upside, plenty of growth, plenty of development. Right, he's the kind of guy that you could bring in, let him be a part of the Lakers for the next, you know, handful of years, kind of see where he grows. Maybe he evolves into that clear-cut starter, and he's just that bucket getter alongside Luka and playing defense and being that point of attack guy for you. Or at worst, again, maybe he's the Lou Williams guy. Right? Maybe you have like a Bronny James and a Ryan Rollins, and they're your 2 guards coming off the bench, and both of those guys can defend, be point of attack. Well, you know, hopefully Bronny can shoot at a high efficiency by that point, and then Ryan Rollins is the guy that's, you know, just the bucket getter, like operating in the mid range, operating as your 6th man. Right? It doesn't hurt. Doesn't hurt. But let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Else for not, as we enjoy these types of videos, truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button, turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one.